Hello guys, this is Kazrahim on a review. This time we're in the T69, the American Tier 8 vehicle from the outer loading line, meaning this tank leads to the T57 heavy tank, which is one of the most fun Tier 10 tanks that you can have in the game, but unfortunately it's quite a terrible grind. It starts out with basically light tanks all the way up to for the T69, the only difference being the M7, I think. Yeah, the M7 is actually a medium tank, which honestly no one knows why it's a medium tank. But the purpose of this film is to commentate on the T69, so let's go into it. Let's go through the main stats of this tank. Actually, this is a tank that was in development for the American Army. The American Army did work on auto-loading tanks, or rather, not auto-loading. That's an incorrect term if you think about it. The correct term to say something about these tanks is drum-loaded tanks, because honestly, the Russians had auto-loading tanks. The T-54 is an auto-loading tank. It has an auto-loader, so a system that doesn't require a separate crewman to load the shells. It loads them automatically, so you only need a 4-man crew to do that. And here you have, in fact, there is a loader. There is a guy that loads the shells into a let's say a container, and those shells are loaded into the tank itself. When you are basically... Oh, I closed something, sorry. But I want to check something, so basically you have a guy who loads the shells into the tank, and with that you can easily... He basically loads them up, and then you have a clip of 4 shells that if depleted, you can fire them faster than a normal tank, but if you deplete them you have a longer reload time because the guy has to reload a whole clip. The game doesn't actually show off the most horrible things about drum-loaded magazine tanks, like the AMXs, for example. The AMX 5100 had to be stopped, and it had to have its turret in a specific position to be able to load the shells. And most of the tanks are actually loaded from outside, so yeah, it's just not a very good concept overall. But in the game we don't have that. In the game we have like a long reload time and then like a few shells that have very short time between each other. You cannot express the shell loading time with equipment, but we'll get to that in a second. So, stats. 1350 hit points, which is quite low for a tier 8 heavy medium tank. 34, almost 35 tons weight, which is, I wouldn't say large. It's small. It fits the size of this tank. It's quite a small medium tank. 550 horsepower engine. Now this is a downside. This is a oopsie. This is the best engine you can get on this tank, and it honestly doesn't give you even close to what you need to make this tank work. It has a 51.5 speed limit. You're never gonna reach that. You're gonna struggle to get to 30 kilometers per hour because of this horrible engine and the fact that the tank, honestly, it's not mobile at all. It has basically, it's mobile, but it's not as mobile per se. It's not more mobile than heavy tanks, if you know what I mean. The American heavy tanks are quite mobile themselves, so honestly this tank really doesn't show anything, extraordinary. Then you have the traverse speed of the tank, 42, combined with 38 to the traverse speed, giving us combined traverse of 80, which is enough to shoot almost anything that will try to circle strafe you. Armor, something that you cannot count on this tank. 101 in the front of the tank, 76 in the sides, and 38 in the rear. 152 in the front of the tank, 76 in the side of the turret, sorry, not the tank, and 114 in the back. So actually the back of the turret is quite well armored, but it's only this little part. But you can see there's a lot of angling going on over here. You can see that, but it doesn't make this tank actually bounce a lot. It can bounce. Don't misjudge it. It can bounce quite a lot of shells, but It's more of a lucky situation than something that you can rely on. So, view range, we have 400 meters of view range on a tier 8, so that's quite a very good view range. You can actually try to bump it up a little bit and try to use it as a spotter. And 750 signal range. Now, the thing that it just pisses off most people is the two guns that you get to select. The 76mm gun that you get on the T71 and the 90mm gun, which is the upgrade. So you go up from in caliber from 76 to 90. You drop in one shell because no one knows why, but the 76mm gun has only 5 shells on the T69. Not like the T71 which has 6 to 4 shells. You also decrease your time of reload between shells increases. You have 1.8 seconds, 1.82 to be precise, on the 76mm and 2 seconds on the 90mm. But that's honestly, you can understand that because it's a larger gun, right? It's a larger caliber gun. Now, the reload time for a complete reload is 16 seconds for the 76mm and 27 seconds for the 90mm. So it's quite a larger aim time, load time. It's 11 seconds longer, so above a half of the what you have on the 76mm. But you will see why. You have 175mm of penetration and 210 on gold shells on the 76, and the 90mm has 173, so 2 less, and 250 on gold, which is 40 more. This is where it starts to get odd. You spended a ton of experience. To be exact, you spent, let's just check how much is it for this gun. Oh, 18,000 only? Seriously? Then not a very large amount, but 18,000 experience still, it's 18,000 experience for a gun that goes down in penetration on a tier 8. So a tier 8 medium that doesn't have above 200mm or doesn't equal to 200mm of penetration. Even the Panther has that. So actually the only tank that I think would have the same kind of situation is the T44. With its 100mm gun has 174, yep, that's gonna be it. 175, so it has 2 more penetration, and Chinese line, WZ, oh sorry, this is the medium, the light tank, here's the medium. 181. So, yeah, it's actually not increasing the size of the shells. So that's weird, right? Basically, you would think that the penetration would be enough, but we'll get to it why it's not. Damage, 150 against 240. That means that with 5 shells you can do... what's that? 400, 600, 750 average damage against 800, 920. No, 960 average damage. This is where the 90mm starts to have an advantage. Basically, because the 76mm doesn't have that 6th shell, it cannot reach the same amounts of damage that the 90mm will. So that's the strong suit of this gun. Accuracy is the same for both guns. It's horrible, 38, sorry. While on the T71 you can walk with that. Basically, you will be fast, you will be maneuverable, you can get behind enemies, you can go fast and backwards, and you will get close. The T69 isn't the same kind of a tank, so it actually suffers from such bad accuracy. You will have shots that will just plainly miss the tank that you're aiming at completely because your accuracy is so horrible. And aiming time, 2.3 seconds against 2.9, almost 3 seconds. And that's the weakest point of this tank. It aims so long that in fact you will see in a second I have 2 pieces of equipment that increase my aiming speed. I have the enhanced gun laying drive and the vertical gun stabilizer. It's that bad. And a ventilation. An improved ventilation class 2 just to manage this horrible aim time. Because really, the horrible accuracy with the very bad aim time and the sucky penetration means that if you're not using gold shells, this tank is quite notoriously bad. There's no way around it, it is bad. People think that the T69 is fun because they use gold shells, and a lot of gold shells, and they spam even more gold shells. Because the gold shell has 250mm of penetration, which is great. It had 300, so yeah, it was a little bit overpowered. Now it has 250, so you still have problems against tier 8s and tier 10s. But it's still quite a very decent number of penetration. But you won't get hits on weak spots with this kind of accuracy and this kind of aim time ever. Especially since a shot will reload faster than you can aim in. So yeah, that's a huge downside for this tank. But let's go into the crew. Crew composing of 4 people. The commander, I presume, is also the radio man. Yes, he is, the radio operator. So, 4-man crew. As for skills, I would go for Sixth Sense, obvious choice for commander. I have Snapshot on the gunner to even decrease the aiming time even more. Smooth Ride, same deal. And Safe Stowage, which is quite important. Second set of skills, I would say go for repairs and secondary skills like preserve maintenance, recon. Try to buff your commander. Give him after 6 cents. Give him recon or situational awareness to increase your view range, because you already start with a very good view range, so you can actually spot with this tank. But it's quite slow, so it won't get into those positions which it should in the time that it should, unfortunately. So it can work as a passive scout, but I wouldn't count on it. As for equipment, as I said, I have improved ventilation, enhanced gun laying drive, and vertical stabilizer Mark 1. Those 3 pieces of equipment are essential to this tank to even make it semi-worthwhile. You can exchange one of those if you're feeling lucky, and like the vertical stabilizer, which gives you 20 accuracy during movement and during rotation, you can change that to coated optics. That would be probably my pick. Coated optics or binocs to make this tank more of a spotting tank than a fighting tank. You spot, and after the battle starts for good and everyone's occupied, then you go and start to unleash hell on the enemy. Consumables, the normal rack of unstaffed and consumables, so fire extinguisher, repair kit, and first aid kit. Nothing, nothing fancy there. As for shells, this fires a clips of 4 with a 90 mil gun. That means that you will only divide ammunition by 4. I have a very low amount of high explosive anti-tank heat shells because I don't like to use heat shells. I prefer to play tanks without gold and have a feel for them without gold, and if I need the gold shells then I load them. So we have 32 normal shells, the normal AP armor piercing rounds, the M31 8, and 8 heat shells, which are, for me, it's enough. Honestly, there's not a lot of situations when I need more than 8. And honestly, I have just that kind of attitude in this tank that I don't even try to penetrate tanks from the front that I know that I won't penetrate. I prefer to flank, I prefer to try to get around people or wait for my time to strike instead of just going bluntly forward and dying. So, as for research in this tank, basically you will start, let's just check, do you get this? Okay, so you won't get anything from here. This? Also not. Oh, so you won't get anything. That's horrible. And do you need weight difference is 400 kilograms, 350 to be exact. Stock and uploaded. No, I don't think you need actually the yeah, it's a very tight situation, so maybe you don't have to get the tracks first. If you if you don't have equipment, that's basically 350 kilograms right there. If you don't have equipment on this tank, you can go without the tracks. You can go straight for the gun. But honestly, in my opinion, you should go tracks, gun, engines, radio. But if you want to skip tracks and get the gun first, by all means do that. I honestly pre-experienced the gun because I didn't want to play with the 76mm gun. Same with the tracks. Just buy the tracks. If you have to grind from scratch, grind out the tracks, grind out the gun, or the other way around. If you're not good on credits and you cannot transfer equipment, then if you don't have equipment for this thing, then just go for the gun, get the gun, then go for the tracks and the rest of the things. This gun doesn't feel that much weaker, but the damage that you will pull out is way lower than you would with the 90mm gun. If you will be able to penetrate, of course, that's a whole different story. So that would be my my idea of how to go through this. And now, and 170,000 experience for the E1, which will already get the engine goes to the E1, so that's why I would also recommend, and the radio. Those two things go to the E1. So the Tier 9 vehicle, I would suggest you use it because of that. And also those things, if you have American artillery, the M44 has the same parts as the T69, which means that if you have this piece of arty, you will already get the engines and stuff for even unlocking it. Unlocking the M44 will give you the first upgraded engine for the T69. So yeah, that's about what we can cover. In terms of weak spots, honestly the whole tank is a big weak spot. You can have some lucky bounces over from this part of the turret. I wouldn't recommend you shoot at it from straight on because that's a lot of angling and you can bounce from this. I would recommend you go for the turret ring or the lower plate. If you're facing off a front of a T69, you can try to get a lucky shot over here at the hatch. You can see there's a little bit of flat armor over here. So you can go into that and also damage the commander, loader and god knows what else. But overall I would say go for the turret ring or under the turret, go for the lower plate. Sides you can shoot anywhere, just don't shoot here because again you can bounce. Preferably shoot over here, that's where the ammo racking is, ammo rack hits are, and also underneath the turret and back. If you have enough penetration, go through the back of the turret or the back of the tank and inflict fire on it. As for another thing that I wanted to say, gun innovation, gun depression, that's two things that I wanted to also say in the garage before I show you a game. This turret just doesn't go up and down. It has horrible gun elevation and depression. You can see how much you have over here, right? That's your maximum gun depression. Because it's an oscillating turret. That means it's not like a normal turret like in the Indian Panzer that only the gun traverses and the gun itself in the turret traverses up and down. So the higher the turret is, the lower the gun can go. Like you can have a perfect example of it on the Centurion, on the V4202, which you can see the gun is in the middle of the turret, so it can point down quite significantly because it has a lot of space over here. And it can go a lot of up because it will have a lot of space over here. But the oscillating turret on T69, this whole part moves. It's not like the gun traverse, but the whole turret traverses. So the turret goes up, and this basically goes as to your engine deck. So you get around here with gun elevation. And that's really bad. If you're playing, for example, on maps that require good elevation, you will have problems. Like Learshire, for example, you will have problems aiming at people. Gun depression, even worse. Look how low you can get. It's just this little bit that goes down, and this thing will hit the top of the turret. So it's a very, very hard tank to play good. And those two things, those two viewports are not you know, points that you can do damage against, so don't consider shooting that. So let's go into a game and actually talk about the tank a little bit more, so see you there. So this is the first bit of gameplay. This is actually from 8.8, so I have no idea what's gonna happen. I don't remember this game at all, but it went out as the highest score game that I had, so let's look. Sorry for the very long introduction to the tank that had 20 minutes to be exact. So this is gonna be a quite long video, I think in the rounds of 40-50 minutes. But let's see how it goes. So we're playing on, what's the name of this map again? Mountain Pass, and it's Encounter. Amazingly, I have no recognition of this game, and I think I already made a video out of it, but we'll see how it goes. So I'm just waiting for my heavy tanks to move up. There's a lot of enemies on the other flank, so I'm not particularly eager to go there. Oh, now it starts to come back at me. Yeah, I made a video out of this, but we'll go with this because it should be a quite decent game, and I have another replay that I'm going to show you after this one. So this is a tier 10 game with 2 tier 10s and the rest 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tier 9s and the rest tier 8s. So, and the average roll of matchmaking that you will get, honestly. You can see that 3 of our heavy tanks completely don't want to go forward, and I'm gonna do a whole... And that was amazing because you saw where the shot went, and I didn't penetrate at all. That's number 3. And that's the first shot that I did damage, so that's what you can expect from the T69. It's just gonna bounce ridiculous amounts of shots at so easy shots, but you will just miss completely. And now I do a little bit of a YOLO mode, because I know the E1 is reloading, but the T30 fires a gold shell at me, finishing me off, but I've put 3 shots in the E1 and finish off the T30, reload, well, get my tracks back up, and now it's a decision. Do I go here and rescue everyone, or do I do something else? There was a video of this game, but we're gonna go with it because some of you guys maybe didn't see it, and I want to promote my channel a little bit more, so maybe new people will watch it. So we're going to go backstabbing, but unfortunately over here, T44. But we reloaded, we put 1 shot in the sides, 2 shots in the sides, 5th shot in the track, and 4th shot in the side, and back out. He was reloaded, but he shot at a... basically he destroyed my rangefinder without doing damage. So that's great for me. Now I'm reloading. The reload is quite fast if you think about it. 26 seconds isn't that long. But if you think about what the T57 Heavy gets, it has roughly 23 seconds reload time, and you basically just rip people to shreds because you do 400 average damage. He again didn't do damage to me because he hit my track. I hit his tracks while damaging him and killed him. So now I force a reload because I need those shells. I need all 4 shells again. The game is highly in our favor by 5 tanks, so I'm thinking like, yeah, we're easily gonna win this, but I want to get towards the back of the enemy and just put some shots into them. So the T69, the main thing that a lot of people will tell you, you're more useful towards the end of the game with any auto-loading tank, because the less the enemy has life, the less that you have to take shots, will be actually your advantage, because you're not able to, with this tank for example, you're not able to finish off people.
Enemy armor is damaged.
Now I put 1 shot in the Isu's back, but unfortunately I wasn't able to put the 2nd shot into his track. I could have taken a snapshot, but we all know that this tank isn't good at taking snapshots at all. Now I'm taking a shot at the side. Oh, I want it, but I'm gonna start unloading on the Isu. I finish off the Isu and now wait, and did a good damage roll, but unfortunately I'm out of shells. At this point I'm thinking to myself, I should load gold. Really, I should load gold and just you know, kill this IS-7, but I'm half in my reload, and the IS-7 will come for me, and the T69 is coming for me. IS-7 sees me, and that's my end.
Vehicle is at it.
Honestly, I should have loaded gold shots and just go back. And look at this situation, 9-9. We were winning with 5 tanks, and they completely lost. So that's it for the first bit of a gameplay. Let's go look at another one. So this is the second bit of gameplay. It's also from 8.8, which surprised me, if you won't believe it. We're playing on Himmelsdorf, also in counter mode, so I think that those two games were like very close. And I'm looking how the teams go. That's why I'm twitching around. I'm thinking, should I go upwards or downwards? This is a tier 8 game with tier 7s and 6s, so very good matchmaking for us, honestly. Every time you get tier 6s in your match, you basically can really do something. Tier 7s is where your pen is still enough. Tier 8s is where it starts to lag a little bit. So we're going uphill, and King Tiger, that's not good.
Critical hit.
Shot went completely under him,
Armor is damaged.
but
Penetration.
Jagd Panther
Penetration.
got all 3 hits into him, and the Su-14 too actually destroyed him pretty nicely. So now I'm trying to walk my way so I'm not getting spotted, and I think that I have enough of tanks over here. So I'm gonna go down, and I'm gonna go into the Valley of the Dead. If you don't know where that is, you're gonna see in a second if I'm correct about my know-hows. There's only a VK4502A which will have problems with this little VK2801, and there was 2 enemies spotted in this little ridge line. And now you saw the perfect accuracy of this gun. So I finish off this guy, have 1 shell left. Will I take this shot, or will I reload? I think I'm gonna go for a shot.
Enemy armor is damaged.
Take a completely random shot, but it hits, so we're at 1,500 damage done. Now moving myself towards, because I see the Hellcat moved out of here, and it's a tier 6 heavy tank, so I'm not particularly, you know, eager to engage in a fight with him. So I'm just gonna try to go around and maybe get some side shots on the enemy team. We'll see how it goes. So, T69 overall, because I don't want to have a very long outspeech. Honestly, I have a bad opinion of this tank. It really lacks something. It's supposed to have 1 or 2 good things. Look at how many tanks we lost on the hilltop. They lost only 2 tanks, while we lost 5. Now I get hit by the Jackson over here. And I know that the Jackson actually has good armor. And it turns out that it has very good gun depression too. So I'm just getting here to try to, you know, hide myself. I have 1 kill, and we're losing by 4 tanks.
Penetration.
Now I put a shot in the VK. 2 shots in the VK.
Scratch them.
Ah no, sorry, the second shot went into gun mantlet, not doing any damage. I should zoom out. Jackson probably hit something else.
We're lucky.
And now I get hit in the loader without a repair kit, so we're gonna have a hell of a long reload time. So I just position myself in a safe spot for now. Look at that group of 4 heavy tanks that are not doing anything. 3 heavy tanks. The IS-3 and the T29 are not really doing particularly anything, while we are fighting the bulk of the enemy force. Also the VK4502 isn't that eager to actually inflict damage upon the enemy. If he was, he would be way more in the front, and he would firstly kill the VK3601H and the Hellcat, and now he would back out to kill the Tiger P and the AMX and also the IS-3, but as we can see, he doesn't care. So now I'm finally getting to the end of my reload time. Oh, we don't have a shot on the AMX, so I'm gonna try to flank the Jackson slowly but steadily. Now finally the T29 moves forward.
Gotcha.
Oh, actually I did have a shot on the AMX AC, and I killed him. Tremendously good.
Enemy armor
and he's showing me his backside. I don't know why he was moving towards me. Now I put another long reload because I see the IS-3 is coming back. So I'm one shot away from depth. They have 4 tanks, including RT. We have 1 tank in the capture circle right now. And the IS-3 is going towards the capture. So I'm thinking like, oh shit, IS. Now I really need help. So we're at 4 kills. I'm just gonna stay here and wait for reinforcements to come in. The T69, if it's coming in, it should take some of the fire out from me. But he's low on life. He's honestly 1 shot away from death, so I have to help him out. I'm moving forward. I'm gonna flank the IS, make him distracted a little bit. He has 950 health. That should be not that much, honestly. And T29 doesn't have its top gun because it inflicted only 300 damage to him. Now I'm waiting. Now I see he has 650 life. That should be a call for me to move up. But there's a Cromwell over there, and oh, there's the RT. I don't want to get spotted by him by proxy, but now I move forward. I saw a hit, so that he's not gonna shoot. And you saw that the first hit went into the tracks. It didn't inflict damage, it was a tracking hit. Now I reload again, long reload. It's somewhere in the rounds of a minute. The VK2801 actually put the Cromwell on fire and inflicted heavy damage to him, but it seems that the Cromwell was completely AFK, so that's probably why. Now the VK started to unload on the RT piece. IS-3 spotted. And he put fire on the SE. And they kill each other. Shame. I could have used that kill. I would have gotten Top Gun. So now we're just going towards the capture, maybe the IS-3. We'll see how it goes. So yeah, as I said, the T69, I have a bad opinion of it, but it can work good. Oh, so that's the end of the game. Let's look at the... Let's go back into the garage and have some summing upwards. So, T69 is summing upwards about the tank. I would say this tank requires a very weird playstyle, if I have to say. It can do good. The longer you survive, the more damage you will inflict. I had games where I inflicted above 3000 damage with ease with this tank. But it's something that I say about a lot of tanks. If you won't get primary by the enemy, if the enemy will ignore your presence, you can inflict damage. But if they look your way, then you're basically screwed and you have to bail out. You cannot snipe with this tank, you can spot with this tank. It's not a very fast tank. So it's actually quite hard to say that it's a very bad tank. You can do good with it. There are people who do great with it. I'm a guy who is average most of the time. At best is what I do with the T69. I'm looking forward to the E1 because it gets a way better gun. Basically the gun that you get on the E1 is just like tremendously better. You start with the 90mm gun, which is just agony unleashed on Tier 9. But you get a gun that has 210mm of penetration and 300 average damage. So that 300 average damage will be actually good, but look at the accuracy, 0.4 and 2.9 aiming time. Those are the downsides of the tank, but what can you do, honestly? Well, we'll try to make it work. There are people who hate Day 1, there are people who like Day 1. Sorry, I'm yawning because I'm sleepy like hell. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I hope it's gonna be actually more fun than this, because I cannot say that I enjoy this tank immensely. I play with it, but I prefer doing my daily doubles, and that's about it, what I do with it. Most of you guys from the live stream force me to play with it if I give you the decision of picking a tank, but yeah, that's how it goes. You're either making me miserable by trying to make me play tanks that I don't like, or you make me miserable by doing something else. So thank you all for that. So that's the end for this review. I hope you find it informative and helpful. I will post... Actually, I won't post. Basically, thank you all for coming. I hope you got a good time. Check out my other videos. Hit the like button and comment on the video what you think of the T69. Also, check out my live stream, because some of you don't know that I live stream. I live stream on twitch.tv dash Kazrahim. So you can find me there. I usually stream every single day in the afternoon, or at least I try. You can also subscribe to my Twitter. You will know then when I'm gonna be streaming, because I always post a message that I started streaming or something like that. So yeah, thank you all for coming, and I hope to see you next time on the battlefield.